Hello and welcome to Across the Acres, a Beck's Hybrids podcast, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire each and every one of you by interviewing others whom have a story or message to share. My name is David Ringer, and I am your host, and I'm joined by my co-host slash producer slash engineer slash, bestie with a beard, Morgan Fitch. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Very good. And we have a super cool guest today.
One of my favorite people.
I mean, right? He's just one of those guys that I just love, and everybody loves him.
Yeah.
It's Will Foster, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
We're doing well. Will with one L.
One L.
By the way.
Yeah.
Which is, hey, differentiating you from, say, a John with no H, whom happens to be in studio as well today, but will not go on camera because he's camera shy, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay. We love him anyway. But Will, the reason you are on this podcast today, do you know why?
Because we ate and shared a meal together and talked and cooked a steak, and you said it'd be a good idea, and
Bingo.
I guess you're right.
Yes, that's exactly right. Alexander Steakhouse in Bloomington, Normal, Illinois.
Yeah.
And it was just meant to be. So we're here. But you're wearing a T-shirt that says no. Tell me why.
I have a friend who's a really good designer. She has a whole line of clothing, and this is actually a shirt that she made to help support women against violence.
Okay.
And so it's like basically saying, no means no.
Yeah. It's a statement.
Yep. And so
Very cool.
I can totally support that.
Absolutely.
She had a couple of other shirts that had some things that were like 4-letter words and that. And so I decided, I said, I can rock the one that says no.
Right.
I'll support there.
That's,
Yeah.
Good choice. Very wise. Well, tell us about you.
Oh my gosh.
Give us just a brief history, brief background.
How far back do you want me to go?
Oh, where were you born?
This is a half-hour podcast, by the way.
I
I know how you get.
That's a valid point.
This is part one of episode 1 to 72, right?
We will not do that to you.
No, I know I
you.
tend to talk long. So how do I do this? Rewinding birth, I was adopted.
Okay.
So that's a little different than the way most people are born.
Absolutely.
It was in the 70s, and so it was what they call closed adoptions, which means I have no idea where I came from, who I came from, any of that at all, period.
No way to even know, really.
Nope.
Yep.
And I honestly don't care. I lucked out. I got two pretty cool mom and dad, and, they whisked me off to Australia, and I grew up in Australia. And so I could have done that or lived in a trailer park in rural Michigan, maybe. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So born a U.S. citizen then.
I am. Yep.
But the accent, because of your formative years were spent
Yeah,
I
was less than a year old when my parents migrated to Australia. Back in the 70s, Australia had the government was trying to boost the economy, so they were looking for educated and people that would boost the economy and bring commerce and jobs and all that. And so my dad was a university lecturer and a pastor, and my mom worked in business and things like that. And so they moved to Australia, and Australia helped pay for them to go there and get them set up, and that's how it was.
Okay. And what part of Australia did you grow up in?
Melbourne.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Which would be maybe the largest city?
It's the second. It's
second largest. Sydney's bigger, probably.
Yeah, Sydney's bigger. It's probably bigger than Chicago. So it's huge.
It's a big town.
Yeah, it's real big, and it just keeps getting bigger. And so I don't know how many million it's up to now, but it's several.
Yep, absolutely. And your folks in Australia and now back in the States. Is that correct?
Yeah. They've come over here because they've got grandkids and all that now, and just decided to do that. My dad retired from being a pastor, and now he has an organization called Habitat for Missions, where he works with groups and organizations to buy houses in local area and then work on them, flip them, and then 100% of the profit goes to the missions organization that the people that helped work on it do.
Super cool.
So like a church could do it and flip it. Their church could flip it, and then 100% of the the profit
Revenue
goes
or profit.
back to the church.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell us about your family.
My family.
Yeah,
Oh my
the
gosh.
immediates.
I have 4 kids.
Okay.
I have a daughter who is 24 and she lives overseas. She lives in Bosnia, and she is a school teacher that teaches English over there and has been over there for going on 3 years. And she just signed a contract for another couple years. Loves it. I have a son who is 21, and he's still kind of figuring out what he's doing.
Sure. Well, he's young yet.
Yeah. And another son who is 20, and he is studying image technician he wants to go into radiology. And then a 17-year-old daughter who is a senior.
Okay. Rattle off those names for us.
Okay. 17 is Lucy with an I. 20 is Ethan. 21 is Logan. And 24 is Kate.
Okay. And if Kate is our first listener from Bosnia, how
Yeah.
cool would that be?
That'd be cool.
She is
Shout out Kate.
very
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah. She's amazing.
And Bosnia, of all places, probably because of the weather, or why do we choose Bosnia?
It's actually weirder than you think. And
Okay.
so she's with a missions organization. And so in China, if you're a believer or anything like that, you get persecuted.
Absolutely.
It's really, really hardcore. And so Christian Chinese organizations have set up schools around the world that are not in China to send their children to so they can learn English and be educated. And Bosnia is one of the schools. So she teaches English to Chinese children in Bosnia.
Okay.
That's how random is that?
Wow.
That's
That's
random.
crazy. Yeah. But it makes sense. And some of these kids are there from, 7 years old all the way up through high school. So they leave
Okay.
home and they go there.
Yeah.
Huge sacrifice on the parents' part, but what an amazing experience for these kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have one of my youth group kids who teaches English to students in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
And there's a fairly wealthy, small country, but the students that attend there, their English is learned via television or radio or whatever they're listening to or visually seeing. So her job is to correct grammar, essentially.
Oh, wow.
To fix poor English. If
correct
that's
grammar and cut out cuss words.
Bingo.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, because a lot of what they would see on TV or
I was gonna
YouTube
say,
would be less than clean.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So yeah, what a cool calling.
Yeah,
for her.
I'm so proud of her. She's amazing and just setting everything on fire.
Yep.
She's really good.
And their mom is
So I am divorced. So
Okay.
I was married straight out of college, like so many of us. Amazing lady, just wasn't working, didn't
Sure.
work out. But have 2 incredible kids. My 20-year-old son, Ethan, and my 24-year-old daughter, Kate. Got remarried. My wife, Shalimar, had a son who was 2, Logan.
Okay.
And then we had Lucy together. And so the reason I say I have 4 kids is basically the rule we went into was, look, we have no stepbrothers, we have no half sisters, whatever
Right.
it is. This is your brother, this is your
This is
sister.
family.
End of story. And they grew up like this, and so it's weird to kind of break it down and say, now wait, you're my half step? What?
Yeah.
No, that's your
Family.
brother, that's your sister, and both families have raised them like that.
Good.
The other side, my ex-wife and all that have done the same, and so it's really
Good.
kind of cool.
Yep. That's the Brady Bunch method where it works. We just put them all
it just
together in a
does.
single
It
pot.
does. I think
it
when
happen.
when we try to over-explain and label too many things, it gets confusing.
Yep.
Just love and be a family.
Amen.
Yep.
This life is hard enough going through just whatever comes our way and what the devil throws at us.
Yeah.
Why not have people around us who love us and support us regardless of their label, regardless of their true relationship, their family?
Yeah, absolutely.
We talk about that a lot on this podcast, is that Beck's is a family.
Yeah,
And we need each other.
absolutely.
It's really important to rely on that.
Yeah.
But before we get into why you came to Beck's, talk to us about your professional career prior to.
Oh my. Yeah, that's a long story too.
Yep.
Yeah. So give us the
And there's so many
condensed
different-
version.
I'm kind of a self-confessed workaholic, and so
Okay.
I want to do everything, and I've done a lot of things. I came over to the US. That's how I ended up in the US. I wanted to be a DJ, and that was pretty much it. And so
Okay.
when I was in Australia, I left school in year 11, and I just said no more school.
You were that close to the finish line and
Yep.
said, nah.
Was getting ready to move in and live on a fishing boat, and I was DJing, and I wanted to make surf T-shirts, and that was my life's goal. And at
Okay.
19, that was an amazing reality. My dad, being smarter, said, "Hey, listen, I can pull some strings, get you into a school in the US. Would you like to go?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds amazing." Because that's where all the music is from
USA.
over there. Yeah, everything's from over there. And he left a lot of things out. He said he was pulling strings, but because my dad was a Wesleyan pastor, I got a free ride. I didn't know that. And so he made me seem like I was working harder for something that I was already had.
He was using discretion
Yeah.
and not giving you the full story.
So I went back to school with all of the kids that I made fun of the previous year. So when I was in year 11, they were in year 10. And now they were in year 12, seniors. And I had to go back in there and eat humble pie for a year. And just put my nose down, worked hard, and came to the US and went to Indiana Wesleyan. I had a degree in illustration and studio management. What that basically means is I didn't want to be a poor artist selling paintings on the side of the road to bystanders. But my dad forgot to tell me what Indiana was really like. And so you got to think, I grew up in the inner city, in a city larger than Chicago. So we're talking mega, like skyscraper city, that sort of stuff. It's kind of like growing up in Manhattan. And then
Welcome to corn and soybean fields.
so
Wow.
I rode to, I think I got picked up in Chicago, and I rode to Indiana Wesleyan, which was like a 3.5-hour drive.
Because
from
Indiana Wesleyan is in what town?
Marion.
Marion. That's right. I knew that. Forgot that.
And
Which
I remember
is not a big town.
my uncle, who I didn't know really well because we lived in Australia, and so I really didn't have a relationship with him, dropped me off and left me. And I remember looking around, and there were pickup trucks, cornfields, and everyone talked funny. And it was back in the early 90s when Indiana Wesleyan was ultra conservative, and I had a punk hairstyle, my ears pierced, and rode a skateboard around. And I
Rebel.
remember calling my dad, and it was back when phone calls were like $28 a minute.
Oh, yeah.
1-800-COLLECT, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you accept this
I
collect
remember,
call?
I remember calling my dad, and I was like, "Get me out of here. This is
What
awful."
did you do to me, Dad?
And he was just laughing, and he said, "Son, I love you. Your ticket's not renewable to the end of the year. Have fun." And he hung up on me, and I didn't talk to him for like 6-7 months.
A little tough love there from Paw. I love it.
But it ended up being, like, honestly, the greatest thing that ever happened, because I was, my reality was living on a fishing boat,
Yeah.
DJing and making surf shirts,
Yeah.
which sounds kind of fun.
It does.
It does sound
fun.
actually
a lot of
really
fun.
nice.
And I will not let my middle son hear this podcast
No,
because that's what he
no.
would like to do. But for all parents out there who
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
young man or a young lady in their home whom doesn't have a real path created, or they might be dreaming of a path that's unrealistic, there's hope.
Oh, yeah.
You ended up a mature adult, relatively.
yeah, kind of.
mature.
At least an adult.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll leave the
Yeah.
mature part out, but you're relatively successful. You live in a
Yeah.
house-ish,
Yeah.
not a fishing boat.
Yeah. So I'll give you the speed of that version to kind of catch you up. So I graduated. I did the 5-year plan.
Yep.
Which
Of course you
means-
did.
Yeah.
Took a victory lap. It's
Yes.
cool. My wife
absolutely.
did too.
And,
Yeah, nothing
and it
wrong
was
with
a
that.
it was a 5-year plan with a major sprint at the end. And
I
that was
bet. Dump the clutch. Will's got to graduate.
Well, I kind of figured out, how many credits you really needed to be enrolled and to live on campus, and I stretched those out.
You
'Cause it was
bet.
fun. Straight out of college, I went to go work for a company that was part of Fisher Price,
Okay.
which is the toy company, and
Yep.
I designed kids' toys. I got to get closer, do I?
Yeah.
Kids' toys, and then I worked for PBS and did activity books and for like programs that they had and things like that.
As in public broadcast system? That
Yeah.
PBS?
Yep, PBS
Okay.
and Fisher Price. So straight out of school, I was pretty delusional because
For sure.
usually
Two
most
big
people
namers.
work at like Uncle Sam's T-shirt shop.
I sold cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've always been like ultra driven. Like it's like as laid back as I am, I'm extremely competitive with myself.
Okay.
And so I really don't care what anyone else is doing. That's their own speed. But for me, I keep continually setting the bar and wanting to do things. So I decided that, I was young, I was cool. I was bigger than working for PBS and Fisher Price. And so I quit.
Sure. Makes perfect sense.
Idiot. Total idiot.
Yeah.
And I went and worked at a YMCA camp in rural Illinois and ran their waterfront and swimming program.
Sure.
And so woke up to reality really quickly. And my wife and I at the time had talked about going and doing mission work. So we went back to Australia and we did church planning for a while.
Okay.
All the while I was in the Christian music industry. And
Okay.
so this on top of that's why I said I'm a bit of a workaholic. And so
Sure.
was doing music there. Went to Australia for a while, and I was in the Australian Christian music scene for a while, and then had an opportunity to come back to the US and join a band that was touring and recording and had a record label and did the whole Nashville, label, sign your life away thing. But it was a lot of fun. And so I did that.
And you have Dove Awards
I have a Dove Award.
right here.
No one knows what that is.
In studio. Oh, I bet a lot of people on
I bet
this
they will.
podcast do, actually. Believe it or not.
People know what they are?
Oh, yeah. For
All
sure.
right.
yeah.
It's super cool.
I didn't know you had one.
Yeah.
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 Maybe I did. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You're
literally.
just so cool.
I was
Will.
trying to find.
Right?
like
Just so
I was
neat.
I was trying to find it in my garage after we talked, and I was like, I have no idea where it's at. It's probably like in a box somewhere.
Isn't that amazing?
And so
What we win
I will
and
find
earn.
and I'll bring it in. It's a piece of
Perfect.
metal,
Right.
At
At the end of the day.
So yeah, I did the whole Christian music route. And honestly, that's kind of ironically where I, lost the plot for a little while. Really rebelled, really
Okay.
kind of just got disillusioned with everything and kind of was like, I think growing up as a Christian, I think growing up as a pastor's kid, I think going from there to a Christian university and being kind of in there, we tend to kind of get how to walk and talk, and we can switch it on and switch it off. And I think I was dealing with a lot of things that I'd never been able to switch on or understand why I had, why, I like, wanted to try other things. And so,
Sure.
and the Christian music isn't as pretty as people realize. And I saw some super ugliness, and I just got kind of rebelled and
You may have drifted away.
drifted away for probably about a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And then woke up and I was like, what in the world am I doing? And so,
God came calling again.
Yep. And really just kind of kicked me in the butt and, got remarried. Amazing, incredible wife. I'm 19 years in now and, just incredible.
Say her name again.
Shalimar.
Shalimar.
Yeah.
That is a cool name.
Yeah, she's cool. She's
Where's she from?
Elwood, Indiana.
Elwood, Indiana. I'm expecting your daughter's in Bosnia. You grew up in Melbourne, Australia.
No.
And
Well, and I always say this, and she wouldn't get mad, but she's Mexican Irish.
Okay.
So she's short and angry. And
okay.
if you went to last year's Christmas party,
Yeah.
she was the one wearing the bright pink fur coat and had the space buns, and she was about this tall.
Yes.
And that was my wife.
I met her and,
And
didn't realize it.
She's tattooed as well, and she is a incredible teacher. She teaches in Anderson
Okay.
in the alternatives program. She basically heads up one of the alternative programs. That's where she teaches the kids that can't function in normal classrooms. So she's tough.
That's a mission too.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to kiss me or punch me some days, but I love it.
Yeah.
I like the bossy ones.
Some days you would deserve maybe
I
one
deserve
or
it
both.
all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I got remarried and I got a job with a licensing company where they would buy the licenses for, I mean, I did a bunch of other stuff. I worked at like Blockbuster for a little while. Blockbuster
Video used to.
I was in the movie
rent a video.
Yeah, I was in the movie industry, you know.
Okay.
So,
Right. Yeah.
and so I did a bunch of stuff, but then I got a job where I was working for a licensing company out of Greenfield, Indiana. So they would buy the rights to the licenses. So we worked with like SpongeBob, Dora, did a lot of Hannah Montana before she went crazy.
Right.
Bought up the DreamWorks stuff. So we were doing like Kung Fu Panda, the Madagascar, all those kind of movies that were out at the time. And we would make the products that you would go and buy. Like at Target, if you bought a backpack that had SpongeBob on it, good chances I was the one who made it, designed it. So I was in product illustration and development. It was a fantastic job.
So closets full of this stuff all in the United States over. It's your fault.
Yeah, I've got totes of it in my garage that my wife wants me to get rid of.
I bet she does.
And then we had, some of the stuff was like NFL and IndyCar and all that. So a lot of the merch we would make. Went in on a Friday and they decided it was cheaper to buy stuff that was already made in China than design it here, send it over there, have the prototypes sent over here, approve them, send them back, blah, 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 blah.
You just cut out the middleman.
Yeah. And I was a senior designer. Gosh, I'm a senior designer here. And they decided that it was cheaper to hire 2 straight out of college kids than pay a senior designer.
Downsized.
Yep. Sean, I'm here.
Yeah.
You're not getting rid of me.
Sean is our boss for those listeners.
Yeah.
Oh, just to be clear.
And so
couldn't get him on the podcast though. I tried.
It was fine. My boss was fantastic and he basically in all rights paid me for 9 months at my regular rate when I was let go. And I went home and I was like, what am I going to do? And my wife's like, well, you like taking pictures? And I was like, yeah, but I don't have a camera. And she said, you bought me that one that's down by my shoes in the cupboard a couple of years ago for Christmas. And I've never used it. And it was like a bright magenta, very girly looking camera. And I was like, all right, I'll rock that out.
What, a Kodiak or what?
It was
Kodak.
It was
Kodiak. Sorry, that's a bear.
It was a Nikon, but it was like
Nikon, yeah.
It was when like Apple was
Sure.
doing all the bright colored computers and all that sort of stuff.
The
and
clear,
so,
the clear stuff. Yeah.
So they did some cameras like
Classic
that.
look.
And so so for the next 9 months, I basically created my company that I do photos under. I rented a storefront and I blacked out the windows and I built in a studio. I took photos of everyone that I knew for free. Weddings, seniors, families, kids, any of that sort of stuff. So I worked for free. I was actually getting paid from my other job to create this new job. I created websites. I made merchandise. I did everything blind. And then at the end of the 9 months, I rolled it out and I was busy from day one.
Okay.
And, I did that for 15 years until COVID hit. Yeah.
Yeah. Preparation, though, made the master.
Yeah.
You were able to prepare, launched a product that was ready to go.
Yeah.
Very successful. COVID hits. Then what?
I got my barber's license.
Seems like the next logical step.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Well, I mean, there's some thought behind it. It's
let's
like
cut hair.
It's like there's something that I had done and invested everything in for 15 years straight.
Yep.
That was very important to me, and I thought was very important to the world. Well, it wasn't,
Sure.
because I'd moved into the music industry and I was doing tours, I was doing bands, I was doing all that sort of stuff. COVID hits,
Shuts
no
that
tours. Bands were recording in their houses. Everything was gone. And so I was like, I need a trade, and one of my clients at the time when COVID hit was in the beauty industry. And so I was like, well, I work enough with them. That's a trade. I can probably do that. And so I went to school for a year and a half and got my barber's license and was getting ready to use it. And then I got hired in to do this big Christmas party for this.
I remember this.
For this.
I remember meeting you the first time.
I do too, actually.
It was like things were starting to open up. And at the time, you're just like, I can do photos again. I'll take anything.
Yeah.
Because I kind of got snobby. I was like,
sure.
unless it's like this band or that,
Right.
I was like, I don't want to do that. And I would tell my agent, no, I don't want to do that sort of thing. And so I had met Brittany Street. She runs travels and events. She contacted me when her daughters were born, and I did their newborn photos.
She has beautiful twins, by the way.
And we'd always done photos since. And so I'd known Brittany for her girls are preteens.
They're 10, 11, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, Brittany, I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, I think they're
showing sheep. Yeah. I know that. So,
but you're right. They're amazing, and I always bug her. I was like, let's do more photos. So I knew her, and she introduced me to Sean. Oh gosh, maybe 8 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
And it was funny. I met him. Sean's my boss. I met him, and there was always something really cool about him, and really cool about Brittany. And it was one of those things that, the rainy day thing, I was always like, yeah, I'll just put that in for a rainy day. And then I got hired in to do the photos for the Christmas, was it extravaganza?
Yeah, it was extravaganza.
Extravaganza.
Of 2021.
Yeah. Yep. So we were still hot off of COVID, and I was starting to get jobs, and I was like, I'll take anything. I'll do this corn thing.
Sure. Corn's the tall stuff.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Beans.
And I remember showing up, and I was so impressed. And then Sean came up and introduced me to the whole team. And he kind of jokingly said, he goes, yeah, maybe come work for us someday. Or there was some comment that was kind of thrown around. Yep. And I didn't really think about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And so I kind of pushed it back in the side of my mind. Then I was hired in to do the Beck's Christmas photos. And they can't see what I look like, can they? Or no, there's a video.
Yeah.
I'm a little tattooed.
Mm-hmm. Just a few.
I wear black,
Yep.
It's
very slimming.
Yeah, it is.
It's a wonderful color.
I don't look kind of normal, but I didn't know the Becks. And so I just rock up looking like myself. And they were so incredibly graceful. I just noticed that because, looking different, you're aware of how people treat you, and you're aware of, there was nothing like that at all. Just from every single person in that room, they were loving and just full of compassion and grace, and just loved each other. And that's one of the things I thought was so cool is I've done family photos before, and people are arguing, and it was just incredible. And so I went away kind of scratching my head and thinking, well, maybe. And so I think a couple of months later, I reached out to Sean and I said, hey, just if you ever have a position open, I might be interested. And he was like, well, we really don't. And so I kind of pushed it aside. And then I started thinking about it more. And I was like, Sean, I'd really like to come in and talk to you, And he's like, okay, get your resume together. And I'm a resume.
What's that?
I've worked for myself for the last, going on 20 years. And then he's like, get your resume together. And I literally went to like one of those Work One places. And
nice. I need a resume.
I did. I know. Isn't that crazy?
That is cool.
I still think I did it wrong.
It's all right. Sean can't read anyway.
I probably left like half of the autofill answers.
Insert name here.
Yeah. No, exactly. And then he was like, get me a portfolio. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I take a lot of darker alternative bands and all that sort of stuff. And so I was like, oh, I can't send him all those. He'll think I'm, kind of crazy and that sort of stuff. But it was like one of those wheels. You start doing one and then you do another and then you do another and another and another. And that becomes kind of your genre that you do. And so I think I just screenshotted a bunch of stuff, and because he just wanted to meet. Yep. I was like, yeah, we'll just casually meet. I screenshotted a bunch of stuff, dropped it in a Dropbox, and just nearly sent it off to him. Not realizing that I'd broken like every rule that you're supposed to do to apply for a job. And I think I showed up in ripped jeans and Converse and a t-shirt and just sat down and talked to him. And it was amazing. And then I think everyone at one point just kind of poked their head in and said hello, because I'd made that connection with them at the Christmas party. Yeah. And then I talked to Ashley, which I didn't know what Ashley's position was, but I said this to her yesterday. We're on the plane coming back from one of the field shows. And I said, I didn't put two and two together what you did here. I knew I just instantly clicked. And she said, yeah, I felt the same way. And so
this is Ashley. You need to tell her.
Ashley's like my boss's boss,
yep.
Something
Ashley
or other.
Fisher, to be clear. We have like 8 Ashleys that work here.
Really?
So,
okay,
yeah, it's a big family.
Yeah. And so I remember leaving in a total panic. And I remember calling my wife and I said, oh, I've messed up. Oh my gosh, I have totally screwed up. I said, I didn't realize it was an interview. And of course, Mexican Irish cussing and yelling at me on the other end,
yeah.
You idiot, you should have known. And
what were you thinking?
Yeah, exactly. And I remember just feeling like I'd totally blown it. And then I think I got a phone call a day or so later, and Sean was like, hey, we're kind of interested in you. And I said, I thought you said you didn't have a position. And he goes, well, we might make one. And he goes, but I want you to come in on a trial basis. And, it was.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of traveling back and forth to LA, because that was where I would work out of. Like I would fly out there for a couple of days, come back, and then fly back out. And he goes, I got a project I want you to work on. It's this thing called field shows. We have these maps that we want you to draw. And I remember I'm literally, shooting like rock stars and then going back on my iPad and drawing a seed tower and, no concept of what these places even look like. And so, and then he said, okay, when that was over, he said, come in for a week. I want you to work. And he said, look, I'm more worried about you wanting to leave behind what you're doing. He goes, we like you. We want you to come work here, but I'm concerned that you're, because you got to think freelance. If I wanted to get up at 2 p.m, I would get up at 2 p.m.
Yep.
But then I would work till 3 a.m.
Sure.
And inside I'm like, oh no, dude, this is such an answer to prayer. I want to come work here. And I think 3 days into the week that I was here, he's like, all right, you want to come work here? And I was like, yeah. And I found a home. Honestly, every day I get excited about coming to work. Every day there's so much freedom, so much creative freedom here, which you would think, well, you guys work in the ag industry. It doesn't matter how we get there. We're and it just doesn't come from our department. It's from Scott. It's from Sonny. It's from all these people that are so excited and progressive in the approach, that they really kind of let us kind of do our things. I mean, the fact that we have a podcast, is cool. That's out of the box. Yep. But you know what? There might be one person that we reach on this podcast that says, hey, look, that right there was the difference. That's why I want to partner with these people.
That's right.
And, that's it. So I know I talked a lot.
You did great. This is why we had you.
I tried to talk a lot so I couldn't answer those random questions at the end. Like, hey, what would you do if you had to cut your leg off or drink a bottle of...
So here's your one, not random question, but if you could give our listening audience life advice.
Oh, life advice.
In a one sentence, just to sum up all that you've experienced, what would it be?
I live by two things. Can I do two?
You can do two. Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll since we share a wall together,
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
let you.
We'll allow.
The first one is know what you don't know. And what that means is if you're in a situation, like especially in my industry, if there's something that's coming up technology-wise, know it. Get to know it. If you don't know
Okay.
it, know it, because that leads into the other thing. You always want the advantage. And it's not narcissistic. It's not whatever. It's I never want to be at a disadvantage.
That's the
I
competitive piece
I
of
always
coming out in
want
you.
to be the person that if someone says, "Can you do this?" I can say, "Yeah, I can do that."
Okay.
And so that's why I do photography. That's why I do music. That's why I do illustration, graphic design, anything. Because when I was freelance, I didn't want to give a job away to someone else.
Right.
And so if I had to learn photography, never went to school for it, never did it, but I decided that's what I needed to add to my toolbox. And
Okay.
I kind of take that here. I'm really big on doing things within. And I know I've drove my boss crazy by saying, "Hey, we can do that. We don't need to hire someone else.
Yeah,
we can do that."
that.
And we can. We've got
We
so
can.
much talent
We
here.
really do.
Incredible
yeah.
department.
And so know what you don't know and always have the advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
Love it. I love it.
There we
Hey,
go.
This has been good, but you are going to get the Fun Fast 5 because
Oh,
it's
gosh.
a
All
it's
right.
a rule.
All
Morgan
right.
made it a rule.
All
So
right.
prepare yourself, young
All
man,
right.
because here we
I'm
go.
here.
So dressing on the side or dressing on top of the salad?
I actually don't put any dressing on my salad at all.
No salad. Yeah, if I tell you what, this guy, he's always got to be doing something
Vegemite.
different.
Yeah,
Oh,
no. I don't like dressing. I
Okay.
like fixings.
fair
like-
enough. Australia or America?
For what?
That's the answer.
Yep, that's the answer. You just got to pick one.
No. He said for what? That's the answer.
All right. Australia to dream about, America to live in.
There we go. I love that
Perfect.
answer. Crunchy peanut butter or smooth?
I like actually extra crunchy peanut butter.
Extra crunchy.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Big party or a small group?
Small group.
And then the hardest one of all, people or animals?
Oh gosh, neither.
Yeah.
No, I love both. But I'm not one of those dudes that thinks my dog and cat's a person.
Okay, right. No,
Yeah,
they're still pets.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I like my people.
Yep.
People that I have a small group. I like that.
Tight knit
But then I
group.
like my animals because they're funny.
No, I'm into that.
Yeah.
You don't need cable television when you have a pet.
Yep, very true.
Okay. Well, thank you, Will.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
That
This
was
has
fun.
been a treat. Morgan, anything you need?
Yeah, man. I just want to say, we've worked together and I love you like a brother.
Yeah.
And you're a creative force. And what we have is really awesome on the team. And just, every day I look forward to hearing you tell me good morning.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
And I do love you like a brother. I hope you know that.
which is really important.
Also, if you're a
Yeah.
Star Wars fan, he has a great collection of Star Wars stuff in his office.
Yeah, I'm an ultra nerd.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I
Nothing.
really am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you again, Will.
Hey, welcome.
It's been
Thanks.
a treat
Yes,
to have
thanks.
you
That wasn't as
along.
bad as I thought.
No,
I told you,
it's going to be
we'd walk
fun.
into
We're
it.
going to make
All
it
right.
fun.
Okay.
Well, hey, thank you to our listeners today for joining us on Across the Acres, where our goal is to connect, challenge, and inspire. We ask that you share thoughts on people and topics for future podcasts at edu@beckshybrids.com. That's edu, short for education, at beckshybrids.com. Please follow us along on your social media platform of choice and the podcast provider of your choice. Always give us a 5-star rating and review. And until next time, we will catch you across the acres.